Good morning. In this lecture, we discuss about dual space. So, first of all, we discuss some of the preliminaries. So, let X and Y be vector spaces. The set of all linear operators from X to Y is itself a linear space with operations alpha S plus beta T x is equal to B alpha Sx plus beta Tx. So, we define B xy as a set of all bounded linear operators from X to Y. So now we discuss the dual space of X. So let X be a norm space, then the set of all bounded linear functionals on X constitutes a norm space with norm defined by norm of F is equal to the supremum of X belongs to be X is non-zero, modulus Fx over norm X, which is equal to the supremum of X belongs to be X, norm of X is equal to be 1, F modulus Fx. This is also called normed dual of X. So let X be a under addition and multiplication is a vector space, and F, G, H are defined on X are called linear functionals denoted by X star. So X be a vector space and X star with a set of all linear functionals defined on X. So we claim that this X star forms a vector space under the operation F plus G is equal to be Fx plus Gx, and alpha F of X is equal to be alpha of Fx for all X belongs to be X. So it is easy to verify these conditions. So X star is a vector space and also called the algebraic dual of X. So defined linear functionals on the vector space X star and denoted this vector space by X star star. So on the same lines we can define up functionals on the X star, and we denote those functionals by the X star star, and is also a vector space which is known as a second algebraic dual of Ax. Now the question is, what is the need of second algebraic dual and what is the relation of Ax and X star star? So one can find G belongs to be X star star, which is a linear functional on a X star, by choosing a fixed X belongs to be X. So for a fixed X belongs to be X, define Gf is equal to be Gx of F is equal to be Fx, where F belongs to be X star. We claim that Gx is a linear function. So G of alpha F1 plus beta F2 is equal to be Gx alpha of F1 plus beta of F2 of X, which is equal to be alpha of F1 plus beta of F2 of X by the definition of a G, which is equal to be alpha F1x plus beta F2x, which is equal to be alpha Gx F1 plus beta Gx F2. So Gx is a linear functional and Gx belongs to be X star star. So to each X belongs to be X, there corresponds a Gx belongs to be X star star. So we define a mapping C from X to X star star by X maps to Gx. Then C is called a canonical mapping of X into the X star star. So now we claim that this C is also linear. So domain of a C is a vector space and range of a C is a subset of X star star lies in a vector space. And so though we have a C of a alpha x plus beta y of a f is equal to be G alpha x plus beta y of f is equal to be f of alpha x plus beta y, which is equal to be alpha fx plus beta fy, which is equal to be alpha gx of f plus beta gy of f, which is equal to be alpha cxf plus beta cyf. So C is a linear. So C is also called a canonical embedding of X into the X star star. So now we discuss isomorphism. So let X under addition and multiplication and Y under addition and a multiplication with the two vector spaces. And isomorphism T from X to Y is a bijective mapping which preserves the operation. That is T of alpha x plus beta y is equal to be alpha dot tx plus beta dot ty. So over the left hand side we got the operations over the x, and on the right hand side we got the operations over the y. Similarly, if x d and y comma d1 be the two metric spaces, then an isomorphic t from x to y is a bijective mapping which preserve the distances. That is, d of a tx ty is equal to be txy. If x is isomorphic with a subspace of a vector space y, then we say that x is an embeddable in y. Now, since C is from x to x star star maps by x to gx is a canonical embedding of x into x star star, and we have if range of the C is equal to be x star star, then x is called algebraically reflexive. So now we discuss how we can represent operator in terms of matrices. So finite dimensional vector spaces are simpler than infinite dimensional ones, and it is natural to ask what simplification this entails with respect to the linear operators and functionals defined on such a space. So linear operators on a finite dimensional vector spaces can be represented in terms of matrices. So in this way, the matrices become the most important tool for studying linear operators in a finite dimensional case. So let x and y be a finite dimensional vector space over the same field, and t from x to y be a linear operator, and dimension of x is n and dimension of y is equal to b r, such that the basis for the x is e1 e2 so on en, and the basis for the y is b1 b2 so on br, which are arranged in a definite order which we keep fixed. So let x belongs to be x and y is equal to be tx belongs to be y, and t of a ei is belongs to be y, and for all I has a unique representation, x is equal to be summation of xi I ei. Now since t is a linear, so we can represent this as a y is equal to be tx, and substituting the value of ax, summation of xi I ei, and because t is a linear, this is equal to be summation of xi I t of ei. So we can say that T is uniquely determined if the image is yi is equal to be T of ei of the n basis vectors e1, e2, so on en as prescribed. Now since y and T of ei belongs to be y, so the y is equal to be summation of eta j bj over the j from, or Ti is equal to be summation of j to r and tau of ji bj. Consider the y is equal to be summation of j is equal to be 1 to r eta j bj is equal to summation over the I, xi I, t of ei. And taking over the summation over the I and over the j, we get tau ji xi I bj. So this implies that the eta j is equal to be summation tau ji xi I. So we conclude that the y is equal to be tx is equal to be summation of eta j bj of x can be obtained from this equation, and this can be represented in terms of a matrix of order r by n. So the operator T can be represented by the means of a matrix. In fact, y is equal to be T B x, where the y is eta 1, eta 2, so on, eta, and x is equal to be xi 1, xi 2, so on, xi n. So we will define the linear functional on over the matrices here. We can define up. So take the dimension of x is equal to be n, and e1, e2, so on, en be the basis. So then the fx is equal to be f summation of xi I ei, which is equal to be summation of xi I f of ei, which is equal to be summation of xi I alpha I, where alpha I is equal to be f of ei. So f is uniquely determined by its values alpha I at the n basis. So conversely, if n scalars are being given, fi ej is equal to be delta ij is equal to be 1 when the I is equal to be j, otherwise 0. Then this functional f1, f2, so on, fn is called a dual basis of e1, e2, so on, en. So now we discuss the theorem which will relates dimension of ax and x star. So let x be a n-dimensional vector space and e1, e2, so on, en be the basis for the x. Then f, which is equal to be a collection of f1, f2, so on, fn, given by the fi ej is equal to be a 1 if I is equal to be j, otherwise 0, is a basis for the algebraic dual x star of ax, and dimension of ax star is equal to be dimension of ax, which is equal to b n. So f is a linearly independent set since the summation of beta k fk is equal to be 0. For all x belongs to be x with the x is equal to be ej, we have summation of a beta k fk ej, which is equal to be a summation of a beta k delta jk. And using up a definition of a delta ij, it is equal to be beta j, which is equal to be 0. So that all beta j's are 0. So now we show that every f belongs to be a x star can be represented as a linear combination of the elements of a f in a unique way. So we write f of ej is equal to be alpha j. Thus fx is equal to be summation of a xi j alpha j for every x belongs to be x. On the other hand, we obtain fj of a x is equal to be fj summation of xi I ei, which is equal to be xi j. Hence we get fx is equal to be summation of alpha j fj. Hence the unique representation of the arbitrary linear function of f on x represented by f is equal to be alpha 1 f1 plus so on alpha n fn. Hence we get the result. So further we will use up this lemma in our next result. So let x be a finite dimensional vector space. If x naught belongs to be x has a property that fx naught is equal to 0 for all f belongs to be x star, then x naught is equal to be 0 vector. So let e1, e2, so on en be the basis for x, and x naught is equal to be summation of a xi naught I ei, then fx naught is equal to be summation of a xi naught I alpha I. So by the assumption that the f of x naught is equal to be 0 for all f belongs to be x star, we get xi naught I is equal to be 0 for each I, and hence the result. So next theorem is a finite dimensional vector space is algebraically reflexive. So we know that the canonical mapping C from x to x star star is a linear, that we have already proved up. Then C x naught implies that C x naught of a f, which is equal to be g x naught f is equal to be f x naught is equal to be 0 for all f belongs to be x star. And using the previous 0 vector lemma, we have x naught is equal to be 0. Therefore, C has an inverse C inverse from a range set of a C from to X such that the dimension of a range space of a C is equal to be X. Therefore, C is an isomorphism and X is algebraically reflexive. So let F1, F2, so on F1, F2 and F3 with the dual basis of E1, E2, E3 for R cube, where E1 is equal to be 1, 1, 1, E2 is equal to be 1, 1, minus 1, and E3 is equal to be 1, minus 1 and minus 1. So we have to find the value of f1x, f2x and f3x, where x is equal to be 1, 0, 0. So first of all, we have to write this x in terms of e1, e2 and e3. So we can write the 1, 0, 0 is equal to be a times 1, 1, 1 plus b times second e2 plus c times e3. So simplifying up and equating the corresponding parts, we get these three equations. A plus b plus c is equal to be 1, a plus b minus c is equal to be 0, and a minus b minus c is equal to be 0. So simplifying up these three equations, we get the value of a is equal to be c is equal to be 1 by 2 and b is equal to be 0. So x can be represented as a 1 by 2 times the e1 plus 1 by 2 times the e3. So now f1x is equal to be f1 of a half of a e1 plus half of e3, which is equal to be half of a f1 e1 plus half of a f1 e3, because f1 is a linear. So f1 e1 we have here, we have again to be applied up the formation, so we get half of a 1 plus half of a 0, which is equal to be 1 by 2 by using up these terms. Clear? So we have, similarly we obtain the f2 of ax is equal to be f2 of half of a e1 plus half of a e3, which is equal to be half of f2 of e1 plus half of f2 of e3. So which is equal to be 0 plus 0. So we get the answer is 0. And f3 similarly we can get that f3 is equal to be 1 by 2. So this is the way we can get the required solution. We can find f1, f2, f3. So thank you. These are some of the references.